The Call of Destiny. In a distant corner of the universe, where stars twinkled like jewels on velvet, lay the vibrant planet of Zafara. It was a world of breathtaking beauty, filled with sprawling forests of luminescent flora, majestic mountain ranges that pierced the clouds, and vast oceans that shimmered under the light of twin suns. However, beneath this picturesque exterior lay a grave crisis threatening the very existence of its inhabitants, the Zatharians. Princess Lyra, the youngest daughter of the ruling monarch, stood on the balcony of the royal palace, gazing out at the horizon. The intricate architecture of the palace, adorned with crystalline structures that refracted light into a spectrum of colors, was a testament to Zathara's rich culture and advanced technology. Yet, the princess's heart was heavy with worry. The once thriving population of Zathara had dwindled significantly over the past few decades due to a mysterious phenomenon that rendered many Zatharians unable to reproduce. The time for action had come. As she turned to face her advisors, a sense of urgency filled the room. "We have exhausted all options. The scientists have confirmed it. We cannot survive without hybridization. We must bring a human to our world to ensure the continuation of our lineage," she declared, her voice firm, but laced with the weight of her responsibility. The council chamber fell silent as the advisors exchanged concerned glances. Orin, her most trusted advisor and a venerable elder, stepped forward. "Princess, bringing a human here is not a simple matter. There are cultural differences to consider. What if they do not understand our ways? What if they refuse to cooperate?" Lyra nodded, acknowledging his concerns. "I understand the risks, Orin, but the alternative is extinction. We must find someone willing to embrace our culture and become part of our society. We need a human who embodies strength, creativity, and a willingness to innovate. Perhaps someone who is not only intelligent, but also compassionate." As the discussion continued, Lyra's mind drifted to a recurring dream, a vision of a human male standing tall, his presence radiating warmth and courage. She had seen his face many times in her dreams, and though she didn't know his name, she felt an inexplicable connection to him. "I believe this person exists," she said softly, almost to herself. "We must search for him." Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Ethan Reed was at the forefront of genetic research, driven by a passion for discovery. A brilliant scientist in his late 30s, Ethan worked tirelessly in his laboratory, where he explored the depths of human genetics. He dreamed of enhancing the human condition and had recently made groundbreaking progress in genetic modification that allowed for increased adaptability to environmental changes. Ethan was a man of great intellect, yet he often felt a void in his life, a longing for purpose beyond his research. He had always been fascinated by the concept of life beyond Earth, often immersing himself in science fiction novels and documentaries about the universe. Little did he know, destiny was about to knock on his door in the most unexpected way. One fateful evening, as Ethan was fine-tuning his latest experiment, a sudden flicker of light filled his lab. A holographic projection materialized in front of him, casting a soft blue glow that illuminated the cluttered workspace. The image crystallized into the form of Princess Lyra, her regal demeanor striking yet inviting. "Dr. Reed," she began, her voice melodic and commanding, "I come to you from Zathara. Our civilization is in dire need of your expertise. We require a human to help save our species. Will you answer our call?" Ethan stood frozen in disbelief, his heart racing. He had read about such encounters in stories, but to be a part of one himself was beyond his wildest dreams. "Why me? What can I do for you?" he stammered, struggling to comprehend the reality of the situation. Lyra's gaze was steady and earnest. "You possess the knowledge and skills we need. Your work in genetic enhancement could help bridge the gap between our two species. We need someone who can understand the intricacies of both human and Zatharian biology to create a new generation that can thrive." Ethan felt a rush of excitement mixed with trepidation. What if I'm not what you're looking for? What if I fail? The weight of the responsibility loomed large before him, and the thought of leaving Earth filled him with uncertainty. Luris smiled reassuringly. "You will not be alone. Our scientists will work alongside you, and we will ensure you are welcomed into our society. This is not merely a task, it is an opportunity to create something extraordinary together. A chance to unite our worlds and foster a new legacy." The allure of adventure and the prospect of making a meaningful impact ignited a spark within Ethan. He took a deep breath, contemplating the enormity of the journey that lay ahead. "Okay," he finally replied, his voice steadying with determination. "I'll come to Zafara and help your people." With a wave of her hand, Lyra sent a surge of energy through the holographic connection, marking the beginning of a journey that would change both their lives forever. "Prepare yourself, Dr. Reed. We will ensure your arrival is swift and safe." As Ethan gathered his belongings and made preparations to leave Earth behind, he felt a sense of purpose rising within him. He had always sought to push the boundaries of human potential, and now he was about to embark on an adventure that would not only test his intellect, but also redefine the essence of humanity itself. The next day, as Ethan stood at the launch pad, the shimmering spaceship awaited him, a vessel crafted with advanced technology that seemed to pulse with life. As he stepped aboard, he was met by an array of Zatharian crew members, their skin shimmering with iridescent hues, and their eyes filled with curiosity. They welcomed him warmly, embracing the idea of collaboration that transcended their cultural barriers. "Welcome to Zafara," a young Zatharian named Kel said, his enthusiasm infectious. "We are excited to have you here. Together, we will explore the wonders of our worlds and create a future unlike anything we have ever imagined." With the engines roaring to life, Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline. The ship lifted off, soaring into the vastness of space, leaving behind the familiar sights of Earth. As he looked out of the viewport, the stars sparkled like diamonds scattered across an infinite canvas. A sense of exhilaration filled him as he realized he was stepping into a story that would challenge everything he knew about life, love, and the bonds that connect us all. Unbeknownst to him, the journey ahead would be filled with trials that would test his resolve, reshape his understanding of cooperation, and redefine the meaning of family in ways he could never have anticipated. But for now, as the ship navigated through the cosmos towards Zafara, he was filled with hope, curiosity, and the thrill of adventure. The arrival. Ethan Reed gazed out the viewport of the interstellar vessel as it hurtled through the cosmos, the stars stretching into luminous streaks of light. He felt a whirlwind of emotions, anticipation, excitement, and a touch of fear, as he prepared to meet a world that had, until now, existed only in the realm of his imagination. He couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change forever. The sleek ship, equipped with advanced Zatharian technology, glided gracefully toward the lush planet of Zafara. Below, Ethan caught glimpses of its breathtaking landscape, a vibrant tapestry of rich greens, sparkling blues, and colorful bioluminescent flora. The planet seemed alive, pulsing with energy, and he could hardly wait to explore it. After what felt like an eternity, the ship entered Zafara's atmosphere. A gentle jolt signaled their descent, and Ethan's heart raced in tandem with the ship's powerful engines. As they broke through the clouds, the grandiosity of the royal palace came into view, a magnificent structure that merged seamlessly with the surrounding environment, adorned with intricate patterns and glowing crystals that reflected the soft light of the twin suns. "Prepare for landing," Kale, the young Zatharian pilot, announced with a mix of excitement and pride. Ethan felt the ship touch down softly, and as the doors slid open, he was met with a rush of warm air fragrant with the scent of exotic flowers and fresh earth. Stepping onto the vibrant soil of Zafara felt like stepping into a dream. The colors were more vivid than anything he had seen on Earth, with plants glowing in hues he couldn't name, and creatures flitting through the air like living jewels. He looked up to see the two suns setting, casting a golden hue across the landscape, and felt a profound sense of wonder at the beauty of this alien world. Welcome to Zafara, Dr. Reed. Princess Lyra's voice echoed as she approached, flanked by a group of dignitaries and scientists. She was striking, her alien features a mix of elegance and strength, adorned in flowing garments that seemed to shift colors with her movements. Her presence radiated authority and warmth, and Ethan felt an instant connection to her, as if he were being embraced by the very spirit of Zafara itself. "Thank you, Princess," he replied, bowing slightly, overwhelmed by the honor of meeting her in person. "It's an incredible planet. I've never seen anything like it." "Come, let us show you the palace," she said, gesturing for him to follow. As they walked through the sprawling gardens that surrounded the palace, Ethan was struck by the harmony between nature and architecture. The pathways were lined with luminescent plants that hummed softly, and the sound of flowing water from nearby streams created a soothing backdrop. "Zafara is a living organism," Lyra explained. "We believe in nurturing our connection to the environment. Our technology is designed to enhance, not dominate. As you will see, our greatest innovations are rooted in understanding nature, not opposing it." Ethan listened intently, his mind racing with ideas. This philosophy resonated with him. It aligned perfectly with his own beliefs about sustainability and coexistence. "I would love to learn more about your advancements in genetic engineering," he said, his excitement palpable. "I think there's so much we can achieve together." "Ah, that is a topic close to our hearts," Orin, the elder advisor, interjected. "Our scientists have been developing techniques to integrate our DNA with that of other species. But we are eager to learn from your experiences on Earth. Your perspective is invaluable." As they entered the grand hall of the palace, Ethan was awestruck. The ceilings soared high above, adorned with intricate carvings that depicted the history of Zafara. The light from the crystals illuminated the room with a soft, ethereal glow. A large table filled with holographic displays showcased various genetic projects in progress. "We have gathered our finest minds to assist you in this endeavor," Lyra said, gesturing toward the scientists and geneticists gathered around the table. "Together we will explore how to blend our DNA with human genetics, creating a hybrid species that embodies the strengths of both." Ethan felt a surge of enthusiasm as he began to interact with the Zafarian scientists, discussing the principles of genetic manipulation and sharing his knowledge of human biology. They asked questions, eager to understand the nuances of human genetics, while Ethan absorbed their advanced methodologies. He was fascinated by their insights and the rich cultural context behind their scientific pursuits. Days turned into weeks as Ethan immersed himself in his work, forging bonds with the Zafarians. He learned their language, adapted to their customs, and began to see the world through their eyes. Lyra often joined him in the lab, her presence inspiring a sense of purpose. Together, they brainstormed innovative approaches to hybridization, each discussion revealing new possibilities. One evening, as they reviewed the results of a recent experiment, Lyra's expression shifted from focus to concern. "Ethan, while I am grateful for your expertise, I fear that the integration process may take longer than we anticipated. Our societies are so different. The genetic compatibility is only part of the challenge." Ethan paused, sensing the weight of her words. "What do you mean?" "Our cultures have deep-rooted values and traditions that shape who we are. We need to ensure that the humans we choose for this process will be not only scientifically compatible, but also culturally aligned with our ideals. We must find individuals who embody the spirit of cooperation and creativity," she explained, her gaze intense. Understanding the gravity of her concerns, Ethan nodded. "You're right. It's essential that we create not just hybrids, but a new generation that embodies the best of both worlds. We need to cultivate a mutual understanding that transcends our differences." Over the following weeks, they organized meetings with representatives from both Zafara and Earth, discussing how to introduce humans to Zafarian culture and vice versa. Ethan felt a sense of camaraderie with the Zafarians, sharing laughter, stories, and traditions, bridging the gap between their worlds. The more he learned, the more he realized that the hybridization project was about more than science. It was about forging a new bond between their peoples. Yet, as their collaboration deepened, challenges arose. A faction within Zathara, wary of humans and their influence, began to voice their dissent. They questioned the wisdom of mingling with another species, fearing that it could lead to cultural dilution or worse. Their discontent began to brew unrest among the population, threatening the fragile alliance that Ethan and Lyra had worked so hard to build. One day, as Ethan was preparing for a presentation on the latest findings, he overheard whispers in the palace corridors. The dissenting faction had gained momentum, and their leader, a formidable Zatharian named Rax, was gaining followers. He was known for his strong views against hybridization, advocating for a return to traditional methods of reproduction. "We cannot gamble with our future," Rax proclaimed during a council meeting, his voice booming across the hall. "We are Zatharians. We must preserve our culture and identity at all costs. Bringing humans here is a mistake we cannot afford." Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach as he listened. He turned to Lyra, who remained composed, though her expression betrayed her concern. "We must address this head-on," she said quietly. "We need to show our people that this union is not only beneficial but essential for our survival." Determined to stand by her side, Ethan proposed a grand demonstration, a showcase of the potential of hybridization. "Let's bring together a group of humans and Zatharians to demonstrate our collaborative efforts. We can highlight the strengths of both cultures and the possibilities that lie ahead." Lyra nodded, her eyes lighting up with hope. "That's an excellent idea, Ethan. We will prepare a celebration, a festival to honor our unity and showcase our achievements. This will be our chance to win the hearts of our people." As plans for the festival began, Ethan and Lyra worked tirelessly, recruiting volunteers from both sides to participate in various demonstrations, workshops, and cultural exchanges. The festival would feature performances, art, and scientific displays, illustrating the harmony and synergy that could arise from their collaboration. As the date approached, Ethan felt a growing sense of excitement mixed with apprehension. Would their efforts be enough to quell the dissent? Would the people of Zathara embrace this new future? Only time would tell. Finally, the day of the festival arrived. The palace was adorned with vibrant decorations, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Ethan stood at the center of the gathering, flanked by Lyra and other dignitaries. As they welcomed guests, he marveled at the sight, Zatharians mingling with humans, exchanging ideas and laughter, creating a tapestry of unity. As the festivities unfolded, Ethan felt a profound sense of purpose. This was not just about survival, it was about connection, understanding, and the potential for a brighter future. Together, they could create something extraordinary, a legacy that would redefine their worlds. Yet, in the shadows, Rax watched with a calculating gaze, plotting to undermine their efforts. The challenges ahead were far from over, and Ethan knew that true change would require more than just a festival. It would demand unwavering courage and resilience from both humans and Zatharians alike. The journey had only just begun, and as Ethan stood before the crowd, he felt the weight of his mission settle on his shoulders. Together with Lyra and the people of Zathara, he was determined to forge a new path, one that would lead to a future filled with hope, innovation, and a celebration of life in all its forms. A new bond. The festival in the Grand Palace of Zathara was a sight to behold. Vibrant banners danced in the gentle breeze, adorned with symbols representing both Zatharian and human cultures. The air was filled with laughter, music, and the enticing aromas of exotic dishes that blended the culinary traditions of both worlds. Ethan Reed stood at the center of the bustling crowd, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was a pivotal moment, one that could either unite their peoples or drive them further apart. Princess Lyra, radiant in her ceremonial attire, moved gracefully through the crowd, greeting guests with warmth and sincerity. She radiated a sense of purpose, embodying the spirit of cooperation that Ethan had come to admire. As she approached him, he could see the determination in her eyes. "This is it, Ethan," she said, her voice steady yet filled with enthusiasm. "Today it's our opportunity to showcase what our partnership can achieve. Are you ready?" "Absolutely," Ethan replied, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "Let's make this a celebration to remember." As the festivities kicked off, the palace courtyard filled with Zetharians and humans alike. Colorful booths showcased traditional crafts, scientific innovations, and culinary delights from both cultures. Musicians played hauntingly beautiful melodies, blending Zetharian rhythms with human instruments, creating a harmonious soundscape that resonated deeply with the attendees. Ethan took a moment to reflect on how far he had come since stepping onto this alien world. The doubts that had initially plagued him were gradually fading, replaced by a sense of belonging and purpose. He had immersed himself in Zetharian culture, understanding their values, traditions, and the essence of what made them unique. It was a lesson in humility and respect that he cherished deeply. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow across the palace, Lyra and Ethan prepared for the main event, the unveiling of a collaborative project that embodied the spirit of their alliance. They had worked tirelessly to create a prototype of a hybrid plant species, designed to thrive in both Zetharian and Earth environments. The plant was not only visually stunning, but also had the potential to enhance the local ecosystem by providing new sources of nourishment. Gathering everyone's attention, Lyra stepped onto a raised platform, her presence commanding silence. "People of Zathara and our esteemed human guests, today we celebrate a new beginning. This festival symbolizes our unity and our shared hope for a brighter future." Ethan joined her on the platform, holding a small luminescent seed in his hand. "This seed represents our joint efforts. It is the first of its kind, a hybrid that embodies the strengths of both Zetharian and Earth plant life. We believe it will not only flourish here, but will also strengthen our ecosystems." He placed the seed into a specially prepared soil bed in front of the crowd, carefully covering it. The moment felt monumental, a symbolic gesture of hope and new beginnings. As Ethan gently watered the soil, a hush fell over the crowd. Everyone watched in anticipation. Suddenly, a soft light emanated from the soil, and the seed began to sprout, revealing delicate leaves that glowed in vibrant colors. Gasps of amazement echoed through the courtyard, and Ethan felt a thrill of triumph wash over him. This was proof that their collaboration could yield something beautiful. Lyra beamed with pride. "Let this plant be a reminder that together we can create life, thrive, and overcome any obstacles. Let us embrace the future as allies, partners, and friends." The crowd erupted in applause, cheers ringing through the air as the Zetharians and humans celebrated their shared achievement. Ethan felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. This was more than just a festival. It was a powerful affirmation of unity. However, not everyone shared in the joy. In the shadows, Rax, the dissenting leader, watched with a scowl. He had been vocal against the alliance from the start, believing that human influence could dilute Zetharian culture. He was determined to undermine Lyra and Ethan's efforts, convinced that their union would lead to the erosion of their identity. "Look at them," Rax sneered to his followers, a group of Zetharians who shared his concerns. "They celebrate a mere plant, believing it will save us. But what happens when we lose our essence? When our traditions are forgotten?" One of his followers, a young Zetharian named Mira, nodded, her brow furrowed in doubt. "But what if they are right? What if this union can lead to something greater?" "Navate," Rax snapped. "The humans may seem charming, but they will never understand our ways. We must act before it's too late. We cannot allow our culture to be swallowed by theirs." As the festival continued, Ethan felt a flicker of tension in the air, but he pushed it aside. He was determined to focus on the positive momentum they had created. He and Lyra moved through the crowd, engaging with guests, sharing ideas, and fostering connections. Later in the evening, the festival transitioned into a lively dance, blending Zetharian and human movements. Ethan found himself swept up in the celebration, his inhibitions fading as he followed Lyra's lead. She moved with an elegance that captivated him, her laughter infectious. For a moment, the concerns of dissenters faded, and he lost himself in the joy of the moment. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Ethan took Lyra aside. "Thank you for everything, Princess. I've never felt this alive. Your people are incredible." Lyra smiled, her eyes shimmering like the stars above. "You have brought so much to Zafara, Ethan. Your spirit and passion inspire us all. Together, we can create a future where our cultures thrive side by side." Yet, beneath the surface of their celebration, the seeds of dissent continued to germinate. Rax and his followers began to rally more support, planting doubts in the hearts of those who remained uncertain about the alliance. They spread whispers of fear, claiming that hybridization would lead to the end of Zafarian culture as they knew it. "Join us," Rax urged during clandestine meetings. "We must reclaim our identity and resist this human influence. If we allow them to intermingle with us, we risk losing our heritage forever." The tension in the palace began to escalate as factions formed. While many embraced the new collaboration, others felt threatened by the change. Ethan and Lyra were determined to address the growing unrest, knowing that the festival had only been the first step in a much larger journey. Realizing they needed to act quickly, Ethan and Lyra decided to host an open forum where both Zafarians and humans could voice their opinions, questions, and concerns. This was crucial to fostering understanding and building trust between their peoples. "Let's bring everyone together," Ethan suggested during a strategy session with Lyra and Orin. "We need to create a safe space for dialogue. If we can demonstrate our shared values and vision for the future, we might ease some of the fears." Lyra nodded, her expression resolute. "A great idea. We will invite everyone, those who support the alliance and those who do not. It is time to confront the issues head-on and show that we can coexist." They quickly began organizing the forum, spreading the word throughout Zafara. Ethan felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. This was a pivotal moment that could either solidify their alliance or fracture it beyond repair. On the day of the forum, the palace was filled with anticipation. Zafarians gathered in the grand hall, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. Ethan stood beside Lyra at the front, preparing to address the crowd. "Thank you all for coming," Lyra began, her voice resonating throughout the hall. "Today, we stand at a crossroads. We have embarked on a journey that could define the future of our worlds. We are here to listen to your voices, share our hopes, and address any concerns you may have." Ethan stepped forward, feeling the weight of their combined expectations. This collaboration is not just about genetics, it is about building a future where both our peoples thrive. We want to foster understanding and respect for each other's cultures. Your voices matter. As they opened the floor for discussion, Rax stood up, his presence commanding attention. "What guarantees do we have that our way of life will not be altered? What assurance do we have that our culture will not be lost in this alliance?" The room fell silent, tension palpable. Ethan took a deep breath, realizing the importance of addressing these concerns directly. "Rax, I understand your fears. Cultural integration can be daunting, but it doesn't mean losing our identities. It means celebrating our differences while finding common ground." The audience murmured, some nodding in agreement, others remaining skeptical. Rax continued, "But look at the humans. They are not Zafarians. Their traditions and values are different. How can we trust that this union will not lead to our dilution?" Lyra interjected, her voice steady. "Change can be challenging, but it can also lead to growth. We must be willing to embrace new ideas while cherishing our heritage. We want to learn from each other, not erase what makes us unique." As the discussion continued, both sides shared their stories, concerns, and hopes. Slowly, the atmosphere began to shift. The Zafarians who had been skeptical started to see the potential for collaboration. Some humans shared their experiences, explaining how they had adapted to Zafarian culture and highlighting the beauty of blending their traditions. Ethan could feel the tides turning, and as he shared his own story, his passion for science, his love for exploration, and the desire to contribute to something greater. He saw glimmers of understanding forming in the eyes of the crowd. The connection was growing. Finally, the forum concluded with a sense of hope. While Rack's influence remained a concern, the dialogue had opened the door for future cooperation. People began to talk among themselves, discussing ways to strengthen the alliance, and for the first time, Ethan felt optimistic about their chances. As the attendees dispersed, Ethan and Lyra exchanged a glance, both aware that this was only the beginning of a much larger journey. The seeds of change had been sown, but they needed to cultivate them carefully to ensure they would flourish. Later that evening, as Ethan stood on the palace balcony overlooking the bioluminescent gardens, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. The stars twinkled brightly, and the gentle hum of the night filled his heart with gratitude. He knew that their journey would be fraught with challenges, but together, they had the power to create something extraordinary, a legacy of unity, understanding, and resilience that could withstand the tests of time. Lyra joined him, her presence grounding and reassuring. "Thank you for standing by me today," she said softly. "Your courage and insight made a difference." Ethan smiled, feeling the warmth of her appreciation. "We're in this together, Lyra. We'll find a way to bridge our worlds." With newfound determination, they both turned their gazes toward the horizon, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would forge a bond that could transcend the stars, a testament to the power of collaboration, love, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. A hidden threat. As the sun set on Zafara, painting the skies in shades of violet and gold, the atmosphere within the palace buzzed with anticipation. The festival had sparked new hope, and the forum had ignited dialogue between Zetharians and humans. But beneath this veneer of optimism lay a current of tension, especially from those who opposed the alliance. Rax and his followers remained a potent threat, plotting their next move as shadows lingered in the corners of the palace. Ethan Reed felt invigorated by the changes happening around him. He had been tirelessly working with Zetharian scientists, blending their advanced genetic techniques with his knowledge from Earth. New projects were underway, and excitement buzzed in the air about the potential for innovation and collaboration. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease, a gnawing awareness that not everyone shared in the vision of unity. One afternoon, while Ethan and Lyra were reviewing data on their latest hybrid plant species, a knock interrupted their session. Kale entered, his expression serious. "Princess, there's been unrest among the populace. Rax is rallying more supporters, and there are whispers of dissent growing louder." Lyra's brow furrowed, concern flickering in her eyes. "What are they saying?" "They claim we're abandoning our traditions for the sake of humans," Kale replied, his voice low. "Rax is spreading rumors that hybridization will lead to cultural obliteration, and he's gaining traction." Ethan's heart sank. He had feared that Rax's influence could jeopardize their progress. "We need to address this head-on. If Rax continues to spread misinformation, it could undermine everything we've built." "Perhaps another forum," Lyra suggested. "But this time, we must have clear demonstrations of our shared achievements. We need to showcase the benefits of our collaboration, tangible proof that we can coexist without sacrificing our identities." "Great idea," Ethan replied. "We can present the hybrid plant project and the advancements we've made in genetics. We need to emphasize that this is not about erasing Zetharian culture, but enriching it." As they discussed plans for the next forum, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that time was of the essence. Rax's movements were becoming bolder, and he could sense that the dissenters were becoming increasingly organized. It wasn't long before Ethan would learn just how dangerous this could become. That evening, as Ethan walked through the bioluminescent gardens of the palace, he felt a presence lurking in the shadows. The once serene environment now felt charged with an undercurrent of hostility. He sensed someone watching him and turned quickly, but the figure vanished behind a thick grove of glowing trees. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He knew he had to be cautious. As he approached the palace, he decided to seek out Lyra and share his concerns. Finding her in the main hall, he relayed his encounter. I think someone is spying on us, Lyra. We need to be vigilant. Rax and his followers could resort to desperate measures to undermine our efforts, Ethan warned, his voice laced with urgency. Lyra's expression hardened. You're right. We can't afford to be complacent. I'll arrange for additional security measures around the palace. We must protect our work and our people. The following day, Lyra met with her guards and strategized new protocols for palace security. They stationed watchmen at various points around the palace and encouraged the Therian citizens to report any suspicious activity. Meanwhile, Ethan continued to work diligently in the laboratory, preparing for the upcoming forum while trying to keep an eye out for any unusual occurrences. Despite the growing tension, there were moments of joy. Ethan had begun to bond more with the Zatharian scientists and their families. He found himself enjoying shared meals filled with laughter, cultural exchanges that enriched his understanding of their way of life. He participated in traditional dance lessons, embracing the beauty of Zatharian music and rhythm, which filled him with a sense of belonging. Yet, the ominous specter of dissent loomed ever larger. One evening, as Ethan returned from a celebration in the gardens, he overheard hushed voices coming from a nearby corridor. Curiosity piqued, he crept closer, straining to catch snippets of conversation. We must take action. If we don't stop this hybridization, Zathara will be lost forever, a voice hissed. Ethan recognized it as one of Rax's most fervent supporters. We can't allow them to brainwash our people into accepting this alliance, another voice chimed in, filled with determination. Tonight, we must make our stance clear. It's time for Zatharians to rise up and reclaim our future. Ethan's heart raced as he realized the threat was imminent. Rax's followers were planning something significant, and he knew he had to inform Lyra immediately. He hurried back to the main hall, his mind racing with possibilities. Lyra. Ethan burst in, breathless. They're planning something tonight. Rax's followers are rallying, and they mean to take action against our efforts. Lyra's eyes widened in alarm. We need to warn the guards and prepare for whatever they might be planning. We can't let fear dictate our actions. As they strategized, an urgent message came through from one of the guards stationed outside the palace. Princess Lyra, we have reports of a gathering in the village square. The dissenters are rallying, and they seem to be growing aggressive. Lyra's face hardened with resolve. We must confront them. If we don't, we risk losing the support of those who are on the fence. We need to show strength and solidarity. Ethan nodded in agreement. Let's go. We can address the crowd and reaffirm our commitment to unity. It's time to face this head-on. They made their way to the village square, where a large crowd had gathered, the atmosphere thick with tension. Rax stood at the forefront, rallying his supporters with fiery rhetoric, his voice booming through the air. We cannot allow ourselves to be pawns in their game. This is our home, and we must protect it. Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline as he and Lyra stepped onto the platform, standing side by side before the crowd. The murmurs of dissent grew louder, but Ethan raised his hand for silence. Listen, everyone. We come in peace. We are here to unite, not divide. Lyra stepped forward, her regal presence commanding attention. Zatharians and humans alike, we understand your fears, but we believe that our collaboration can lead to a brighter future for both our peoples. This is not just about genetics, it's about cooperation, understanding, and a chance to flourish together. The crowd was restless, and Ethan sensed the palpable tension. We are here to learn from each other, to embrace our differences, and to build a new legacy. We understand that change can be daunting, but together we can create a future that honors our histories while embracing progress. Rax stepped forward, challenging their words. You speak of unity, yet you represent the very change that threatens our identity. You think a few plants and promises will erase centuries of tradition. This is about survival. Ethan felt the heat of the moment. It's about coexistence, Rax. We're not here to erase Zatharian culture. We want to enhance it. The future of our worlds relies on our ability to adapt and grow together. As tensions simmered, Rax's followers began shouting, expressing their fears and concerns, drowning out Ethan and Lyra's words. The atmosphere grew electric with anger and confusion, and the crowd began to split into factions, some rallying behind Rax and others swayed by Ethan and Lyra's message. Realizing they needed to shift the energy, Lyra called for a demonstration, an invitation to the dissenters to see the fruits of their collaboration firsthand. Let us show you what we've created together. Join us in the palace gardens and witness how a hybrid plant thrives and the benefits it can bring. The crowd hesitated, the murmurs of dissent quieting slightly. Ethan seized the opportunity. If you still have doubts, see for yourselves. Join us, and let's discuss how we can move forward as allies. With a mix of reluctance and curiosity, the crowd began to follow them back to the palace gardens, Rax's followers still fuming but momentarily silenced by the prospect of a demonstration. Ethan felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, praying that seeing their efforts firsthand might soften some hearts. As they reached the garden, Lyra gestured to the hybrid plant glowing vibrantly. This is a symbol of what we can achieve together. Let us show you the science behind it and explain how it can enrich our ecosystems. Ethan joined her, diving into the details of their research, explaining the unique genetic modifications that allowed the plant to flourish in both Zatharian and Earth environments. He highlighted how it would provide new sources of nourishment and help stabilize local flora. As they spoke, some Zatharians began to lean in, intrigued by the potential benefits. But Rax was not ready to relent. You think this one plant will save us? What about our identity? What happens when we begin to blur the lines between who we are? Ethan took a deep breath, realizing the importance of addressing these concerns with sincerity. I understand your fears, Rax, but our identities can coexist. We can honor our traditions while welcoming new ideas. Just as this plant thrives through its diversity, so can we. The discussion continued, and Ethan could see some in the crowd beginning to reflect on his words. The seeds of doubt in their minds started to shift, and a few voices of support emerged from the crowd. Yet Rax was not finished. You're being misled. What happens when our children no longer recognize our customs? We cannot allow our future to be dictated by outsiders. Ethan's heart raced. Rax's fears were deep-seated, and they needed to address them delicately. Rax, the essence of culture lies in its adaptability. We can share our customs, celebrate our traditions, and also learn from one another. This is not a loss, it's an evolution. As the crowd began to simmer down, Ethan could feel a sense of connection beginning to form. The tension that had filled the air started to dissipate as discussions ignited around the possibility of cooperation. In that moment, Ethan realized that true change would require patience, understanding, and time. It would not happen overnight, but they were making strides towards something extraordinary, a world where both humans and Zatharians could thrive together. But as the discussions continued, the shadows lingered. Rax's anger would not vanish easily, and the underlying threat of his dissenting faction loomed large. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Ethan and Lyra knew they had to remain vigilant. The battle for their future was far from over, but hope flickered in the hearts of those willing to embrace change. With renewed determination, Ethan turned to Lyra, his voice filled with conviction. We'll keep pushing forward, Lyra. We'll show them that this is worth fighting for. Lyra nodded, her eyes shining with resolve. Together, we will create a future where our worlds unite, not divide. We owe it to our peoples to strive for understanding and cooperation. As the evening wore on, the two of them stood side by side, looking toward the stars, ready to face the challenges ahead. Little did they know that their journey was about to take an unexpected turn, one that would test their resolve and challenge everything they believed about trust, unity, and the very essence of what it meant to be Zatharian and human. A turning point. The glow of Zathara's twin suns heralded the dawn of a new day, illuminating the palace gardens in a brilliant spectrum of colors. Ethan Reed awoke with a renewed sense of purpose, buoyed by the discussions from the previous evening. He had witnessed a flicker of hope among the Zephyrians, a willingness to consider the potential benefits of collaboration, but the lingering specter of dissent hung heavily in the air, and Ethan knew that the path forward would not be easy. As he prepared for the day, Ethan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had become more than just a scientist. He was now an ambassador for humanity, a bridge between two worlds. Today, they had planned a series of demonstrations to showcase the progress they had made in their hybridization projects, and he hoped it would bolster support among the Zephyrian populace. Arriving at the lab, Ethan was greeted by Lyra and their team of Zephyrian scientists, all buzzing with excitement and anxiety. "Today is crucial," Lyra said, her tone serious yet encouraging. "We need to demonstrate not just the scientific achievements, but also the spirit of collaboration. We want to show everyone that we are committed to a future that respects both our cultures." Ethan nodded, feeling the familiar adrenaline surge through him. "Let's make it memorable. We should emphasize the ways in which our partnership can create a better future for Zafara, showcasing not just the science, but also the harmony that can arise from our union." As the preparations unfolded, the team worked tirelessly to set up displays featuring the hybrid plant species they had developed, along with other scientific advancements that highlighted the benefits of their collaboration. The atmosphere in the lab crackled with energy as they assembled the exhibits, a blend of vibrant Zephyrian flora and innovative Earth technologies. Meanwhile, outside the palace, the tension was palpable. Ethan could sense the skepticism among the crowd gathering for the demonstrations. Rax's followers were still vocal, spreading doubt and fear as they gathered in groups, whispering about the potential consequences of human influence on Zephyrian culture. Rax himself was nowhere to be seen, but Ethan knew he would not be far away, waiting for an opportunity to strike. As the hour approached, Ethan took a moment to gather his thoughts, stepping outside to breathe in the crisp morning air. The gardens, with their bioluminescent flowers and shimmering fountains, had become a sanctuary for him amidst the chaos. Yet, the weight of uncertainty loomed large. He knew that today's events could either solidify their alliance or deepen the rift that Rax had been cultivating. With a deep breath, Ethan made his way back to the main gathering area, where Lyra was addressing the crowd. She stood tall, her presence commanding attention as she spoke with passion. "Thank you all for coming today. We stand at a pivotal moment in our history. Today, we will showcase what we can achieve together, and I invite you all to witness the fruits of our collaboration." Ethan joined her on the platform, ready to present their groundbreaking projects. "We are excited to demonstrate our hybrid plants, a symbol of the unity between our two species. These plants not only thrive in our unique environments, but also enhance the biodiversity of Zafara." As the crowd gathered closer, Ethan felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. He launched into an explanation of the research, highlighting the specific benefits of the hybrid plants. "These plants have the ability to adapt to varying climates, providing nourishment for our communities while promoting sustainability. We believe they can significantly contribute to the stability of our ecosystem." Just as Ethan began to see nods of interest from some of the Zephyrians in the crowd, a voice rang out, cutting through the atmosphere like a knife. "What good are these plants if they dilute our culture? How can we trust that this is not just a guise for control?" Ethan turned to see Rax standing at the back of the gathering, flanked by several of his supporters. The tension in the air thickened, and Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "We are not here to control Rax. We want to enrich our cultures, to learn from one another," he replied, attempting to project confidence. Rax stepped forward, his posture confident and menacing. "You may speak of enrichment, but we see a threat. You come into our world, bringing foreign ideas, foreign people, and expect us to embrace it without question. This is not what we agreed upon." Ethan took a breath, feeling the weight of the crowd's attention on him. "We understand that change can be frightening, but I stand here not as an outsider, but as someone who deeply respects Zephyrian culture. I believe that through collaboration, we can honor our differences and create something greater together." Rax scoffed, shaking his head. You speak of collaboration, yet you disregard our concerns. We must stand firm against this encroachment. Our survival depends on preserving our identity. The crowd began to murmur, uncertainty creeping in as some Zetharians shifted their allegiance, drawn to Rax's fiery rhetoric. Ethan could feel the momentum slipping away, and he knew they had to take action to reclaim the narrative. Lyra stepped forward, her voice unwavering. Rax, we are not here to erase who you are. The essence of our cultures can coexist. The plants we showcase today are a testament to that. They thrive by integrating the strengths of both our worlds. Let us not turn away from the potential that lies in understanding and acceptance. Ethan seized the moment. Perhaps we can demonstrate our work firsthand. I invite you, Rax, and anyone who doubts us, to join us in a practical demonstration. Let's cultivate this hybrid plant together and witness its growth. This is an opportunity for dialogue, not division. Rax's eyes narrowed, and for a moment he hesitated. The challenge was bold, and the crowd seemed to be considering it. Ethan could sense that the tide could turn with the right approach. Very well, Rax replied, his voice dripping with skepticism. But if this plant fails to thrive, it will be proof of your failure to understand our ways. I will not allow you to manipulate our people with empty promises. The crowd shifted again, some murmuring in agreement with Rax, while others seemed intrigued by Ethan's boldness. The atmosphere was electric, a mix of anticipation and trepidation. Lyra and Ethan exchanged a glance, both aware that this was a turning point. With the crowd's attention refocused, Ethan led Rax and a small group of volunteers to a designated area in the garden where they had prepared a plot for the hybrid plant. Together we will plant this today. If we succeed, it will symbolize our commitment to working as allies. As they began to work, the air filled with tension. Rax, although skeptical, was methodical in his approach, and Ethan found common ground as they shared the responsibilities of planting the seeds. With every movement, Ethan felt a shift, a gradual thawing of the ice between them. As they planted the seeds, Ethan seized the opportunity to engage Rax in conversation. What do you fear most about this alliance? He asked, genuinely curious. Rax paused, his hands stilling in the soil. I fear that we will lose what makes us Zetharian. Our songs, our stories, our identity, they are sacred. I've seen too many cultures crushed under the weight of assimilation. Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of Rax's concerns. But integration doesn't mean loss. It means we can expand our stories. Imagine the richness of sharing our traditions, blending them, and creating something new. Our children can learn from both cultures, embracing their heritage while forging their own identities. Rax looked thoughtful, his demeanor shifting slightly as he considered Ethan's words. Perhaps the seeds they were planting were not just for the plants, but for a deeper understanding of each other's worlds. As they finished planting, Ethan turned to the crowd, ready to encourage engagement. We've planted the seeds today, but it is up to all of us to nurture them. This partnership requires trust, collaboration, and above all, an open heart. We can build a future that respects both our cultures. As Ethan spoke, the crowd began to respond. He saw some Zetharians nodding in agreement, others exchanging glances that spoke of newfound hope. Yet, there were still murmurs of dissent, and Rax's followers remained vigilant, watching closely. The hybrid plants began to glow faintly, their bioluminescent properties illuminating the area. Ethan felt a surge of optimism wash over him as he realized that they were, quite literally, nurturing the future before their eyes. Rax crossed his arms, his expression still skeptical. Let's see how these grow, he said, his voice taut with caution. But I'll not easily concede my beliefs. Ethan smiled, feeling the tension begin to ease. That's fair, Rax. We all need to be cautious. But I genuinely believe that together we can cultivate something extraordinary. As the crowd began to disperse, Lyra approached Ethan, her expression a mix of pride and concern. You handled that well, Ethan, but we need to remain vigilant. Rax's influence is still strong. I know, Ethan replied, the weight of responsibility settling back on his shoulders. But I believe we planted more than just seeds today. We planted a possibility, a chance for understanding. As they made their way back to the palace, Ethan felt a glimmer of hope, but he also sensed that the real work was just beginning. The journey toward unity would require resilience, patience, and a commitment to listening and learning from one another. That evening, as the stars twinkled overhead, Ethan and Lyra convened a meeting with their team of scientists and advisors to discuss their next steps. The atmosphere was charged with determination as they brainstormed ways to counteract Rax's descent while continuing to promote their collaborative efforts. We need to reach out to the undecided members of the community, Lyra suggested. Let's host workshops that invite both Zephyrians and humans to participate in scientific projects together. If we can show the tangible benefits of our work, we might be able to sway more opinions in our favor. Ethan nodded in agreement. We could set up educational programs where humans share their knowledge of sustainable practices and Zephyrians teach their traditions. This way, we reinforce the idea that our cultures can coexist and learn from one another. As they planned the workshops, a sense of urgency enveloped the room. They understood that every moment counted in their efforts to promote unity. The foundation of their alliance was fragile, and they needed to strengthen it before Rax and his followers could gain any more ground. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Ethan and Lyra, Rax was already plotting his next move. In secret gatherings, he rallied his followers, fanning the flames of discontent and gathering support for a decisive action that could threaten the fragile alliance. We cannot allow ourselves to be manipulated any longer, Rax urged, his voice filled with passion. If we do not act now, our culture will be lost. We must show them that Zathara stands strong and will not be overrun by human influence. The room erupted in fervent agreement, and Rax felt the power of their unity invigorate him. He knew they were on the verge of a significant turning point, one that could either solidify his position or lead to chaos. He resolved to take decisive action, a demonstration of strength that would force the palace to acknowledge the dissenting voice of the Zetharian people. As Rax's plans took shape, Ethan and Lyra prepared for their workshops, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond the palace walls. The journey toward unity had begun, but the path ahead was fraught with challenges that would test their resolve and commitment to building a future together. With the promise of collaboration shimmering on the horizon, Ethan steeled himself for what lay ahead. They were standing on the brink of something monumental, a chance to redefine their worlds and embrace the power of unity. Yet, the hidden threats were all around, and he knew that their battle was far from over. Shadows of the past. The days turned into a blur of activity as Ethan Reed and Princess Lyra prepared for the workshops aimed at fostering understanding between Zetharians and humans. The atmosphere within the palace was charged with anticipation and anxiety. With Rax's dissenters still a potent force, they knew that every moment mattered in their quest to solidify the fragile alliance. Ethan stood in the main hall, reviewing the workshop materials with Lyra and their team of Zetharian scientists. They planned to showcase their latest projects, inviting both cultures to participate and learn from one another. We need to emphasize the benefits of our collaboration, he said, pacing slightly. This isn't just about plants or technology, it's about building relationships and trust. Lyra nodded, her brow furrowed in thought. We also need to address the fears directly. Let's create a safe space for open dialogue where people can express their concerns and ask questions. We must demonstrate that we value their input. As they finalized their plans, the evening sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the palace grounds. Ethan felt a pang of apprehension, the weight of uncertainty pressing against him. He knew that their upcoming workshops were crucial, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister was lurking just beyond the palace walls. That night, Ethan lay in bed, staring up at the luminescent ceiling, his mind racing. He thought of the stories Lyra had shared about her people, their rich history, their connection to the land, and the traditions that had shaped Zetharian identity. He also thought of Rax and his vehement opposition to their alliance. The struggle between the desire for progress and the fear of losing one's culture was a universal theme, one that resonated deeply within him. Suddenly, a noise outside broke his reverie. It sounded like raised voices, sharp and filled with tension. Intrigued, Ethan slipped out of bed and cautiously moved to the window. Peering outside, he could see a gathering in the courtyard, Zatharians and humans mingling, but the atmosphere was thick with unease. Rax was at the center, animatedly speaking to a crowd that had gathered, his voice cutting through the night air like a knife. "Tonight, we take a stand. We cannot let our voices be drowned out by the false promises of hybrids and integration." Rax's words echoed through the courtyard, igniting a spark of fervor among his supporters. "We must remind the palace that we are Zatharians, and our heritage is worth protecting." Ethan felt a wave of dread wash over him. It was clear that Rax was inciting the crowd, feeding their fears and reinforcing the divide. He knew he had to act. This gathering could escalate quickly, and they needed to quell the unrest before it spiraled out of control. Ethan hurried down the hallway, determined to find Lyra. He reached her chambers and knocked urgently. "Lyra, we need to act now. Rax is rallying his supporters outside, and I fear it could turn violent." Lyra's eyes widened, and she quickly dressed. "We must go to them. We can't allow this division to deepen." Together, they made their way to the courtyard, where the atmosphere crackled with tension. As they emerged into the cool night air, the crowd noticed them, their murmurs rising in volume. Rax spotted Lyra and Ethan and smiled smugly, as if he had been expecting them. "Ah, the princess and her human friend. Are you here to defend your hybrid ideals?" Ethan stepped forward, trying to project calm. "We're here to listen, Rax. We want to understand your concerns and address them directly." Rax scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. "Listen, you've had your chance to speak, but you've ignored the cries of your own people. This is not about understanding. This is about preservation. You've threatened to dilute our identity with your human influence." Lyra's voice rose above the crowd. "Rax, we are not here to dilute anything. We want to celebrate and preserve Zatharian culture, while also integrating new ideas that can help us all thrive. It is possible to honor both our identities." But the crowd was restless, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Ethan realized they needed more than just words. They needed a demonstration of unity that would resonate deeply within the hearts of the people. "Let's show them," he proposed, turning to Lyra. "We can invite both Zatharians and humans to participate in a traditional Zatharian ceremony. Let them witness our respect for each other's cultures firsthand." Lyra looked at him thoughtfully before nodding. "That could work. We'll create a shared experience that emphasizes the beauty of our traditions." "Do you think it's too late?" Ethan asked, concern etched on his face. Lyra shook her head, determination shining in her eyes. "It's never too late for dialogue. We must show them that unity is more powerful than division." Turning back to the crowd, Ethan raised his hands, trying to capture their attention. "Everyone, we propose a ceremony that highlights both our cultures. We want to demonstrate how we can celebrate our differences while building a shared future. Will you join us?" Some voices chimed in with agreement, while others remained skeptical. Rax, however, was not deterred. "Don't be fooled. This is just a ploy to distract you from the truth. We are Zatharians, and we must stand firm against this encroachment." The tension in the air was palpable, and Ethan could feel the fear and uncertainty swirling around them. "Rax, your concerns are valid," he said, trying to bridge the divide. "But can't we come together to create a future where both our identities thrive?" As murmurs of doubt mixed with tentative agreement rippled through the crowd, Lyra stepped forward. "Let's take this moment to unite our strengths, to celebrate what makes us who we are. Join us in a ceremony that honors our past while embracing our future." After a tense pause, Rax glared at them, his jaw clenched. "Fine. But if this fails, you will all see that your human ideals are nothing more than a facade. I will not back down until our voices are heard." With that, the crowd began to disperse, uncertainty lingering in the air. Rax's voice still echoed in Ethan's mind as he watched the supporters walk away, some visibly shaken, others emboldened. Lyra turned to Ethan, her expression determined. "We must prepare for this ceremony. If we can unite the people through shared traditions, we may just turn the tide." Ethan nodded, fueled by renewed determination. They spent the following day gathering materials for the ceremony, reaching out to both Setherians and humans to participate. As word spread, people began to express interest, intrigued by the idea of sharing traditions. Ethan and Lyra worked tirelessly, drawing on the cultural practices of both worlds. They organized storytelling sessions where Zetharians could share their myths, while humans would recount their own tales of resilience and ingenuity. The merging of traditions began to create a tapestry of connection, weaving together their histories. On the eve of the ceremony, the palace gardens transformed into a vibrant celebration of unity. Colorful lanterns hung from trees, illuminating the space with a warm glow. As people gathered, excitement buzzed in the air, tempered by lingering doubts from some corners. Ethan stood beside Lyra, surveying the scene. "This feels promising," he said, his heart racing with anticipation. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. "It is a beautiful representation of what we can achieve together. Regardless of what Rax or anyone else thinks, we will show them that our collaboration is worth celebrating." As the ceremony began, the atmosphere shifted. Setharians and humans filled the space, some exchanging nervous glances, while others engaged in friendly conversation. The energy was electric, and Ethan felt a sense of hope wash over him. Lyra opened the ceremony with a heartfelt welcome, her voice resonating through the crowd. "Today, we come together to honor our cultures, to share our stories, and to celebrate the potential that lies within our collaboration. May this ceremony remind us that unity is our greatest strength." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "We will start with storytelling, a timeless tradition that binds us together. Each story we share is a thread woven into the fabric of our collective identity." One by one, Setharians took turns sharing their tales, recounting legends of their ancestors, their struggles, and their triumphs. Each story was met with rapt attention, and Ethan felt a surge of connection as he witnessed the power of storytelling to bridge divides. When it was the humans' turn to share, they spoke of their journeys, their challenges, and the lessons they had learned along the way. As they exchanged narratives, Ethan could feel the crowd beginning to bond, the barriers between them slowly dissolving. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Ethan took the opportunity to address the crowd. "Let us not forget that each story is a reflection of who we are, a testament to our resilience and strength. Together, we can create new narratives that honor both our pasts and our future." As the ceremony continued, the crowd began to engage in traditional dances, blending Zetharian movements with human rhythms. Laughter filled the air as people joined together, celebrating the beauty of their shared humanity. But even amid the joy, Rax watched from the fringes, his expression dark and brooding. The celebration stirred something within him, but he was unwilling to let go of his fears. As the festivities continued, he plotted in the shadows, determined to reclaim control over his people and halt the union he saw as a threat. The ceremony drew to a close, and Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment. The energy in the air was different now. There was a palpable sense of camaraderie among the participants. As the final song echoed through the gardens, he turned to Lyra, who was beaming with pride. "We did it," he said, breathless with emotion. "We brought them together." "Yes, but we can't let our guard down," Lyra replied, her gaze scanning the crowd. "Rax won't give up easily, and we must remain vigilant." As the night wore on, Ethan and Lyra shared in the joy of the celebration, but the shadow of Rax loomed larger than ever. The seeds of dissent were still there, and the true test of their alliance was yet to come. Together, they would have to navigate the complexities of their worlds, facing not just external threats, but also the fears that resided within their peoples. Little did they know, the storm was brewing, and the path ahead would demand not only courage and resilience, but also an unwavering belief in the power of unity to triumph over division.